Hey guys, we are back and we are welcomed by the lovely Cara Alloway. She is best known for The Real Housewives of Toronto and is now the author of her new book, Most Hated. Hi, Cara.
Hi, thank you for having me so much.
And we have your lovely book here.
Yes.
I'm glad you picked pink.
Of course.
How are you, Elsa?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, you know how I am because I've been with you the whole time.
I know. We just got back from New York. We had a really busy, fast New York trip. We were there for like three days, but it was non-stop.
It was good.
Non-stop,
I mean, we were in San Diego first with our little train ride that we took down there, and then we went to New York. We stayed at the Plaza though, which is nice.
Oh,
Very
I love the
fancy.
Plaza. I love seeing there. It's so central.
Yeah.
It is. I think I actually used to live close to that area. I could like walk, and I took him to Sarah Beth's. You've been to Sarah Beth's,
Yes,
right?
I
and
love
the grilled
that.
cheese. And
What
he
is
finally
with
had,
that? A pretzel grilled cheese? I never knew
you
that.
had it?
So good. I've never had it. My kids have.
Yeah, well, it's called the adult grilled cheese. Just saying.
Well, because at first I was like, I'm not having a grilled cheese. That sounds so weird.
Good.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
It's
Good
my
comfort
favorite
food.
one.
Yeah.
Whatever cheese. Oh, they use a Gruyere. Gruyere.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, yes, that's the
good.
cheese.
So yeah, that was
Yeah, we
kind of
went to
fun.
the-
I mean, you had a little bit more fun than I
I
did.
did, yes, I did. I got wasted until 3 a.m, and then I had to get on a 6 a.m. flight. I did miss the 6 a.m. flight, of course.
Oh, you did?
You
I
missed a
did.
flight?
Oh.
And then I got on. You know what happened? I never told you.
No.
I was so belligerently drunk when I got to my room that I left basically half the stuff, the clothes from
Oh
the
no!
designer.
Someone else told me because the hotel was like, "There's so much." I was like, a stylist is going to come to pick up this dress," and they were like, "There's so much more here than a dress." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
I
Oh,
was
I
like-
actually told them to throw some of it away.
Fine, whatever, throw it away. I didn't need it, I
okay,
guess.
anyway.
So I drank until 3, then tried to get back in my room and lay down for 15 minutes, and I had to then go straight to the airport. I went to the Jersey airport, missed my flight, so then I had to go from New Jersey all the way to JFK airport, threw up on the plane on the floor. So I won't
Okay, my palms are sweaty because you are literally talking about my worst nightmare. Leaving things in a hotel, missing a flight, going to an airport. Wow.
Have you ever done it?
No.
Oh,
It's my- no, never,
It is
because
a
it's my
struggle
bad.
walking in an airport when it's so bright and being belligerent, and you know everybody knows you're belligerent.
Right.
So I'm like, I got to get on this flight.
I can't believe you actually made it. You were
Yeah.
texting
No,
me.
I
and
didn't.
you're like,
I made it on the next one.
I'm seeing stories of her on someone else's Instagram going, too lit to quit, walking down the
No,
street.
it's not Too Lit to Quit.
Oh.
It's a JoJo song.
Oh.
It's a little, what is it?
Oh, too little, too late. Oh.
Too Little, Too Late. You know what song? I'm
Yes,
talking
I
about?
do.
Yes. That is a hit. That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying I'm too lit.
Okay, fine. I just imagined my story is actually better. I like my version.
It is. Yours is a little more colorful.
So are you in LA at the moment or where are you living currently?
No, so I do live in Toronto. I commute back and forth because after being on Real Housewives, I produce reality television now. So I'm on
What
the
are you
other side of the camera.
producing?
I have 2 shows that we're pitching. One of them is called Dallas Planners Club, and it's like $1 Million Listing, but for charity event planners who Dallas is the fundraising capital of the world.
Really?
They do gazillion-dollar charities there. So it's very interesting because it's all in the name of charity, but these event planners, it's a tight little circle, and they sort of go to each other's events and try to eat each other's lunch. So it's really interesting because it's, it's all for a good cause. But let me tell you something. Next time you're doing this good cause, let me plan it because I'll do a way better job. So you always want the sweet and sour when you're doing reality television, and it gives you that perfect sweet and sour because I can talk about the charity and say it's such a worthy cause.
Yeah.
And then you see the people planning the event and you're like, wait, what?
That actually sounds brilliant.
Thank you.
And then
Sounds
there's
so
also the people that are the genuinely there for the charity, and then the others that are using the charity as their own stepping stones into a society of wealth and people that can. I was chatting to Leanne Locken the other day on another podcast, and I was like, remembering all of that and watching Dallas and being like, some of this doesn't sit so right with me. I'm like, is it really? Like, that's their whole identity, which is going to be great for TV. And I mean, at the end of the day, making money for charity is great.
Yes.
But the whole politics behind it.
There is a lot of politics.
Yeah.
And then we also get into the whole, when they're doing the seating at the charity and, okay, you can't sit this woman here because her ex-husband is here with his
It's really
new wife,
that-
and that
it's
and
really
it
that
really is
deep.
like strategy, like army generals, how they have to do it and whatnot.
All for a charity. If I was going to a charity, I would sit next to anybody because I'm at a charity. At least that's what I would think.
Well, if
I
you're
would
paying
be-
big money to be there, though, maybe you don't want to be
Oh,
next to
that's
your wife, or your
true.
husband's mistress, or
That's
like ex-husband's mistress, or like I'm
Exactly.
already imagining it in my mind, like of how that
Oh,
would go.
yeah.
And so the event planners know where all the bodies are buried, so to speak. They know all the
Right.
underground
Everybody's
politics.
drama. Do
Yeah,
they
That's
really?
a show that I want to see. Sometimes with some of these below decks, they're hit or miss because I'm like, I don't want to see people cleaning a boat. Like, whereas the event planners, they're doing something really fun. Yeah.
What's you said that's one that you're working on
That's
right now?
one of them.
Okay.
And then
Can
I
you
have
share the
another
other?
that's completely different. It's a food show. It's kind of interesting. It's a group of individuals. I call them like mild-mannered individuals because they all have real jobs. One of them is an accountant. One of them is an advertising exec. One of them is a food blogger. But they have these ordinary jobs, and then they are extreme foodies. And the name of the show is Extreme Foodies. So it's not like they will say, oh, I heard this is a great restaurant in Santa Monica. Let's go check it out. No, they'll get a call on Thursday and say, look, we can get a reservation at this sushi place in Tokyo. Let's go. They have huge disposable incomes. So they hop on a plane, away they go to Tokyo. They go to the restaurant. They order everything on the menu. I mean, they have laws of extreme foodies, like you have to order everything on the menu, not in the name of gluttony, but more in the name of like, we're here, so we're going to taste it all. But they are so well versed in the history and chemistry of food.
Yeah.
It's incredible. They could talk to you, this sounds crazy, but about the grilled cheese. They
I
could
love
talk to you
food.
about the grilled cheese and the temperature you need to grill it at so that the cheese you're talking about will melt specifically, but the outside will stay crispy. And they know all about, they call it the science and history of food, that they are so well educated in, and they have tasted it all. So for our sizzle reel, we went to Tijuana. And when you do a sizzle reel, it's like, just a taste of what the show's going to look like. So they said, look, we want to go on this taco trip. Follow us down to Tijuana. So I said, okay, sure. So we left here really early in the morning. We arrive in Tijuana. We did 48 tacos from morning until 8 o'clock.
Oh my God.
Tasting all the different tacos, bone
So
marrow
when you're
tacos.
tasting this amount of food,
You're
I
just
love
taking a
food.
bite.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. You're just taking a bite, right?
Yeah, you're
okay,
not. That's why I said
okay.
it's not gluttony. You're not like eating the whole thing. And one of them, she's like so tiny. She's like you. She's like this little tiny thing. And
She
I'm going,
wants
how
to
do you
just
do
eat
this?
and eat.
She's-
Have you ever done the wine pairings? Because my favorite thing, if I'm gonna spend money on food, I'd rather save and go to a wine pairing. And we should maybe try it one day. Is like, I love, and I never knew this, how important it is for the wine to match with what you're eating. Like, I'll just order a random one that I like, but I actually need to be ordering what I'm
I'm
eating.
sure there is a science behind it.
There is.
I'm
Oh,
such
there
a glutton,
definitely
so
is.
all of these jobs would be bad for me. Although it sounds like that would be the best job in the world, being like someone that does wine tastings or does that. You met Food God recently. You know that
Yes,
Food God?
yeah.
Jonathan, I can't pronounce his last name.
Sheban. Yeah, something
in,
like
in
that.
New York, actually. I went
Yeah.
for the Britney Spears Broadway show premiere.
How
something
was
like
that?
I liked it a lot. There was a lot of people said it like they didn't like it, but I mean, who doesn't love Britney's songs? I'm sorry. And Disney, they mixed the two together. For me personally, I couldn't be happier with those
I
shows.
can imagine that would be good. That would be really good. I agree. Who doesn't love Britney?
And she
And
didn't invite me.
Disney.
Oh, actually, she did.
You missed
I
your
missed my flight. Oh, I just walked
You were
into that
invited.
one.
You were
I'm like,
invited.
wait, I'm gay. Why wasn't I there?
So where are you going to put your shows at? Or you haven't
Well,
decided?
it depends who's going to buy them. So
okay.
The history of this is actually that I started pitching them just before COVID. But if you can imagine, like a charity event show,
Yeah, you can't do it.
couldn't do it during COVID, and then the food and the travel show
Couldn't do it.
Couldn't do that. So we're back again, starting, back pitching again. But we're thinking maybe we have to reshoot all of our sizzles and whatnot, which is fun anyway. I like doing.
Yeah,
that
but a
sort
good
of thing.
time while this, the strikes, but at least like non-scripted is like,
Unscripted is
Yeah.
where it's at.
and a lot of there's so much money left over that they haven't spent on other shows, and they're like, okay, what are we doing?
We heard you
here?
were
A
really
lot of people
passionate about
pivoting.
that, or
I have some definite opinions on
Yeah,
that,
what's
and
your
on Bethany
opinion?
Frankel and the whole reality reckoning. Well, so as someone who signed, everybody signs the same participant agreement. So my contract in Canada was the same contract that they sign in the States, and I know that because I have friends that are on some of the franchise in the States. So my biggest grievance, I would say, is the word of the day that needs to be instilled here is there needs to be some sort of governing over the participants. Who's looking after the participants? Case in point, in the course of filming, I broke 2 ribs. I was riding on the back of a water banana, and production asked the boat driver to, drive in snakes.
Crazy, yeah.
So I fell off. Another cast member fell on top of me, and I ended up breaking 2 ribs.
Ouch.
There was so much pressure from production, keep filming, you got to keep going, even though I had like a doctor's letter saying, wait, like she needs to stop and take a break.
Serious?
Also, I was on major painkillers, so I was like not quite myself when I was filming. But who was there to say no?
They would have loved that, the
she does,
painkillers.
exactly.
Yeah.
There was no one on my side to say, no, she does need to stop. So, I have a great support network. I have, my husband's a lawyer. I have friends and everything. But I think of these younger people, case in point, Rachel Raquel, someone like that that's on Scandival. Who do they have?
Yeah.
That's stepping in to look after them. And then there's the NDA portion of the participant agreement. Imagine production is spewing out narrative about you through the course of this reality show. And it's not true, but it's very dramatic. And they're painting you as the villain. And you don't have an opportunity to go in and set the record straight. Meghan Markle did an interview, and she said that was the hardest thing she struggled with when the press was, doing spewing all the negative stuff about her. She said, I always knew people would talk about me, but I had always thought it would be truthful. And I thought if it wasn't truthful, I would have an opportunity to set the record straight. But because of the NDA restrictions and the participant agreement for reality television, you can't.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot.
So in my show, it was painted that I had fat shamed someone. One of the housewives was a plus size. I had a dress show at my house, and I made sure there was a dress for her to try on, of course, because I have a brain. And I thought, I know production is going to want to make it look like I didn't. Well, in the edit, it looked like there wasn't a dress for her to try on. So this individual built a super successful platform as a plus size influencer based on, I was so crushed at this show and there was no dress for me. Me, on the meantime, as the villain, no platform, persona non grata, and then have to zip it. And
what a
can't
bitch
say,
this lady
wait.
is, though. Like, you had she knows what happened, and she's like, oh, wow, this is a way better story for me.
So don't you think eventually, because it was filmed, and I think that's really shaky ground for her to be on, because production has that.
Yeah.
So they can always whip that out at any time.
That's risky. But so when you started with reality TV, did you go in thinking that you had it under control? Like, I'm going to do, because you said like you had the dress and all that kind of stuff. So you went and think you had it under control. And what you're really saying is it doesn't matter how much control you have, they'll take it from you, or they'll flip it around.
I thought, I know exactly what I'm getting into. I'm going to be so careful of what I say.
Yeah.
I'm going to outsmart production. And you're absolutely right. And that is the power of the edit. Nobody takes into account the power of the edit. And where it really hit me was I was walking into a restaurant one time, and I had on really high heels, and the cameraman was walking backwards filming me. So I was walking really slow. So if you take like really slow steps in high heels, you're like, I said, I'm going to fall over. You need to walk a little faster, okay? And he said, no, you're not. And don't worry, it won't look like you're walking slow. We'll speed it up in the edit. And that was the first time it hit me, because I was so careful about what I was saying. Yeah. I never thought, wait, the edit? Whoa.
Or you're just you looking at something that has nothing to even do with it could be somebody just passing who maybe said something, then they flip it to make it seem like you stared somebody down. I didn't even know the NDA thing. I didn't know that's
brutal.
That
and
makes
that's a
so
psychological,
much sense.
That's like a brain, what? Because I can't tell you the emotional distress it is to have a narrative out there that people are discussing, saying this is who she is, this is the kind of person she is, and you're like,
it's not defamation. That's not defamation to because you
no, because you signed the participant agreement. When I showed it to a lawyer who was not my husband, he literally said, you'd have to be crazy to sign this. Like
they really tricked you. They had to have really tricked you, because. Or maybe, is that how it is for everybody, you think?
That's how it is for everybody. I think it's the same participant agreement for everyone. But again, like you said, pride comes before a very big fall. I thought I knew exactly what I was getting into. I thought I knew exactly what I was signing. I'm going to be smarter than them. I've got this under control.
That's scary.
Yeah.
And that's how you got the most hated.
That's how I became most hated. But I think that does need to change. And then also, the whole villain thing, Rachel, I don't know what to call her, but her point was, or Bethany's point maybe, was that, she was the villain. The show was going to be canceled. And along she came, hey, she made a huge mistake. Okay, what she did. Big mistake. As if nobody in their 20s has ever made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but she resuscitated that show for all intents and purposes.
Totally.
Again,
They should be thanking her. Everyone on
they
that
have all
cast.
the endorsements. Exactly. They have the endorsements.
I mean, they've all slept around as well. Like every single one of them's
That's the
cheated.
trope of
All
the
of a
show.
sudden, yeah.
That's the trope of
Isn't it?
Vanderpump
And the show all
Rules.
was on the
They're
way
all,
out.
like,
Now,
humping
literally,
like hamsters.
yeah.
The production companies are very.
I mean, she was very malleable too. So, like,
Yeah,
you could just tell
she
her,
was.
do this, put hand here, do whatever, because she's young. And I just feel sorry for her. I'm
do
like,
too.
whatever. Like, and also the show's interesting now. Like, I mean, but,
It is.
That
And look how
Which
I
is
think it
why-
had its best season ever. But
Yes,
that's why.
and
And you know when you
I didn't know
Ariana
about
even-
it until it was in in the media, Daily Mail, and all that kind of stuff. I actually I
She
just
doesn't
knew
watch. Yeah.
Vanderpump from
Yeah.
the restaurant because we go to the Abbey or used to go to the Abbey every day, and it was right next to it. So that's the only.
That's
she's
funny.
not into that. She watches 90 Day Fiance and that trash
But who-
television.
yes, I mean, but I guess that's the same.
No, it's the same kind of
it
thing.
is.
I'm
It's
like,
just that
who's
one.
Big Ed? She's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
You know,
But let
Big
me tell
Ed.
you something. Yes, of course. But when you say she's young, so she wouldn't know, and they'd say, do this, put your hand there. So I'm no spring chicken. And again, me thinking, I
Yeah.
know exactly what's going on. We'd be doing an interview and they'd say, okay, would you say, what was the line? Would you say when you have money and a lot of, what was it? When you have a good life and a lot of money, everyone wants to be your friend. And I said, no, I don't think I'd say that. And they said, no, would you say that? And I was like, oh, okay, sure. I
Everybody
take
in my
direction
life,
well.
yeah.
When you have, and I said that. So then when I see that on the show,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, you idiot. Why would you say that? But when you're in the moment, nobody really gets it. And it's interesting because the reality participants that read my book said it's a fiction book. So it's chick lit, it's fun, it's funny. But they said you did an excellent job at capturing that anxiety that the reality participant experiences, and nobody else can understand it. The friends of or the periphery people know. You have to be, my husband likes to say, you are the pig in the bacon and egg breakfast. You're all in.
That's kind of what it is, though. So I agree with you. There's like an amalgamation of both, maybe, of that idea, because reality TV is that it's like, it's kind of capturing people under a microscope in a highly intense situation. So if you're going to manage it too much and everybody's relaxed and they're not a little bit tired or a little bit up on pain pills, it's going to be a little bit tame, and that you might as well give them a script and call it scripted television. Whereas like this still has like but not being able to defend yourself though. Like, okay, it's going to get edited. That's how they make an interesting show.
That's abuse. So that seems like to
Well, there's
shut someone up with an NDA. That sounds like traumatic.
Yes,
that
to-
sounds
to-
like a very traumatizing thing for things to come out about you, and then you're like, I can't.
Well, to
like,
leave the narrative out there and not
Yeah.
be able to correct it, that's the most torturous thing, because it's like, what? I just have to be that forever? Like, and people don't understand that it is,
You two are the first
Yeah.
people I've spoken to that get that,
Yeah.
because it really
Well,
is.
we
It's
see-
torturous.
Yeah.
we
It
see
There
is.
might be a
more than-
variation of the NDA where it's like, don't talk about what happened, like, don't.
But are you allowed to say like, sorry, Jen, I didn't mean to
yeah,
interrupt
yeah.
you, but are you allowed to say like, I didn't, or, like, you're not allowed to say I didn't do that, right? Because you signed that thing. But are you allowed to just present yourself as like you know what I mean? Obviously, you can.
And I did
but-
my best. But let me
Yeah.
tell you something. When people, I had well-educated women who were mothers of my son's friends when I would go to after-school pickup, who would say, "I can no longer speak with you. I saw what you said on the show." And I can remember
Well-
thinking, I know, this is what I said to you. I was like, okay, well, good.
Fine.
Adios,
That's
amigo.
so, like, fine. Good riddance. That's like, amusing. Your book is fiction, right?
My book is fiction.
Do you feel like
you know,
because one of our questions is like, were you scared to come out with a fiction book that could potentially like cause trouble?
No, because I'll tell you this. I have grown up in a very female-centric world, and I always knew I wanted to write a book that dealt with female relationships. I went to an all-girls school. I come from like a really matriarchal family. My mom and my aunt would plan things at Christmas and whatnot. So I knew that I had a story about how females interact with each other. And I think the world is fascinated by this too. I mean, that's why we care about Haley and Selena. That's why we care about Kate and Meghan. I think the world is fascinated with how women interact with each other. So reality television in the book is really just the backdrop. The meat and potatoes of the book is how women interact with each other. And what's really cool is when I finished Housewives and I was in a really bad place, someone put this book in my hand, and it's by this 80-year-old psychologist from Manhattan, Dr. Phyllis Chesler, and it's called Woman's Inhumanity to Woman. And it does a deep dive into how women relate to each other. And I read this book and it was like the scales fell off my eyes and I said, now I get it. I understand so much. So that book really informed a lot of my characterization. And she's, she goes back into the sociological origins of it. It starts at 8 years old in the playground. We're very tribal and there is a hierarchy. And if you're an independent thinker or a truth teller and you don't subscribe to how the hierarchy thinks, these are 8-year-old children in the playground, you're shunned. And how are you shunned? You're gossiped about, you're slandered, you're outcast, and it starts at 8 years old. And so she says, she spends 7 pages at the beginning of her book apologizing for writing it, going, look, I love the sisterhood, but it's messed up. And she puts a name on it. She calls it internalized female misogyny, because normally you think of misogyny, men not treating women appropriately. But there exists this internalized female misogyny.
This is why women don't support women. And that's the problem. That's why there's boys clubs, because men support each other and they handshake each other into all of their deals. Whereas when a woman gets it, she says, nah, like to her peers, I had to work too hard to get here. And that's
why do you think that is? Because you're absolutely right. And Dr. Chesler goes into this and she says, it's not the little boys that are outcasting the girls. It's the other girls.
I was just saying this. I was talking to somebody yesterday. She was talking about how she had children and then her body just snapped right back, and it was other women actually hating on other women for looking good after birth or whatever, getting their bodies back in shape. And I was like, when I go through my comments, it's very rarely other men. It's the mean comments are usually women, and that's just how it is. And I don't know why.
I think women are taught at a young age to be subservient, and then also it's a competition to who can be liked the most out of everybody. And then I guess if someone has broken that mold and then they're standing out a little too much, maybe they want to go, no, we had to be this certain way, so you stop trying to be that way. Or if they get it themselves, I don't know.
It's hard to see. I think
traditionally girls are also, now it's changing, but girls are taught, there's one beauty queen, one actress gets the part, one gymnast type thing. So it is changing with sports and whatnot, we're doing girls teams and stuff, but girls are traditionally raised. One person's gonna, win.
Yeah, I want to be the bride of this guy. I want to. I want to be
the favorite daughter.
Yes.
You're right. Back to Shakespeare.
I am the favorite daughter, so I have no problem.
It's true.
But
so we need to change that, and we need to make rules of engagement for women. And just like sports has rules of engagement, how are you going to engage with others within the sisterhood? How are you going to change it, and how are you going to make it better? It might mean the death to shows like Housewives. Although I'll say this, there are some points with these Housewives shows that I really appreciated. For example, the most embarrassing part for me of being a housewife was when you have to take another woman aside and say, could I have a word with you, please? Because it's just, to me, cringy. I would never do that. Why? But it's interesting because they're saying, resolve your differences quickly. Get it wrapped up. And I think maybe if women did that, if I had a problem with you and said, okay, not gossiping to third parties, but coming right to you and going, I got a problem with this. Can we talk? Can we work it out? And the model of Housewives does that. So it's not, there are some redeeming qualities. One of the producers was saying
that produces Salt Lake Housewives. She was saying that it is about that conflict resolution and then redeeming yourself. So it's fight, come back around, resolve it, fight, come back around. You can't just have them fighting or it's too unwatchable and no one likes it. They need to see you come back around and then make up and then break up and then make up, and that's the whole cycle.
I think that's why Salt Lake City's successful.
How'd you get on the show? Did you approach them, or they?
So I was dealing with the production company about pitching them my charity show, actually. And they said, look, this is a side door for you. We're casting housewives. Come on the show and you can be the one that does all the charity work. And I was like, no, I want to produce this show. I don't necessarily want to be on it. And they said, yeah, but this is a faster way to get there. And you can be sort of like how Lisa Vanderpump did her spin-off into Vanderpump Rules from Housewives. And I thought, okay, well, first of all, I had been a mom for 13 years and I was a little, I'll try anything once. Why not? And secondly, I thought, if this is a great way to get my show made, okay. I was probably the worst candidate to be on reality television because I do tend to be a pleaser. And so I don't like people to not like me. But what I learned in the course of it is there's a ton of vanity tied up in that. Because I used to think, I'm a pleaser. I just want the bluebird on my shoulder and everyone to be happy and get along. But if you're honest with yourself when you're a pleaser, it's because you want people to like you.
Yeah.
So that was such a valuable lesson to me to go, you know what? 50% of the population is not going to like you, and there's nothing you can do
I'm
about
like that. I
I'm
need
so
everyone
envious.
to like me. No, I need everyone to like me,
you're a
so I
pleaser,
please
right?
everyone.
Oh, I'm not.
But it's selfish
like
because
that.
I need that validation from everybody else to say, oh, look how nice it is to be around him. We love him. Like, do you know what I mean?
There's a lot of
Interesting.
vanity tied up in that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I always knew I was
That's-
vain.
That I just try to tell myself people just live different lives. They don't have to agree or.
You're not like
But-
that. You're okay with not being liked.
I
You're
almost
okay
use
with,
it as
yeah.
motivation. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. I almost love a little bit of a
Yeah.
dig, not too much, but I do kind of like a little bit of a push that makes me angry, and then I will get stuff done when I'm upset.
I'll
That's-
cry and rock back and
Yeah,
forth
you will.
until like I don't know what will happen to finally move past
What's
it,
wrong?
but
Why
it's
don't they
just
like me?
I know.
I'm trying so
I just like
hard.
the slightest little thing. Although you do hate conflict. You hate conflict, like having
I do hate conflict.
the one-on-one conversation about
Yeah, see,
stuff.
that's
It's
why
like,
you
oh,
brought up the whole just resolving it right away. I think that would be hard for me, but one thing that I'm learning right now currently is actually how bad I am at conflict and how I need to resolve it right away. So it's funny that you say that because I'm like, I should have been doing that. And it's so common sense just to be like, why am I not pulling this person aside and being like,
And saying,
what's
hey,
up?
I have a problem. Right.
Yeah.
And
Simple.
eliminating, somebody said to me, if you could, make t-shirts based on your experience on Housewives, what would your cause be? And I said, well, we've done really well as a society of making certain words toxic that, we teach little kids that's toxic. You don't say that. You don't refer to someone like that. What if we made it that gossip was like that? If you're 8 years old and you're in the playground and someone comes to you and goes, oh, she's so bad, she's doing this, that, you teach the little children, no,
Yeah.
walk away. If she has a problem with me, I'll talk to her directly.
yeah.
That would be so amazing. I mean, wishful thinking.
yeah, we got to
Gossip
get
is-
everybody on the same level.
Yeah.
Gossip is just bad for you, though. Someone said to me recently that, like, gossiping, if you catch yourself gossiping, usually you're then going to be paranoid that other people are gossiping
true.
about you. So, like, that's why you should keep the gossip to a minimum, for your own peace of mind and sanity. 'cause
It's
then
true. It's
and no
true.
one's really thinking about you. They don't give a shit. They're
No.
just thinking about their own lives and their own selves and
So
caught up
true.
in their own thing.
We do have a hotline where people are allowed to ask any questions. We
I love
cater towards more sexual health and awkward questions. So these are awkward.
Okay.
Sex
just-
dating, all
yes,
of that.
sex
We give
dating.
our take. We don't offer advice. We give
Yes,
our
we just
personal
give our-
take.
Yeah. These are
All the
like awkward
disclaimers.
questions that are just that people don't usually ask. So
So,
we want you to help answer them.
yes.
I'll do my
You do,
best.
yeah.
Okay, I'm a 20-year-old female and sexually active, but I don't feel anything from penetrative sex. Is this normal? I need to finish by being rubbed at a separate time from the penetration.
I mean, obviously that's normal. I've
Yes.
gone on and on about how I think that that's absolutely normal, and I think that you can only come from your clit. So that's my take. I think there has to be rubbing. That's
Elsa's been in bed with guys before and been like, just because you are finished does not
Nah,
mean that I am.
no.
You can sit there and wait for me.
Yeah, no way. There's not. I'm not happening. I'm not wasting. Sometimes I mean, it's only like usually 5 minutes, but that 5 minutes of waste is not what I want.
I think that's what women get told all the time. And when we go over this all the time, they're told that we were talking about it to Patty the other day about women not being able to come through penetrative sex and that they're told that they should be able to. There's something wrong with them if they don't. So
Or they just assume.
it's
They
totally
just
normal.
assume. This
Tot-
one will be good for you. I think I'm falling in love with my friends with benefits. How do I open up this conversation without freaking them out or losing the great sex?
That's tough.
I say what you were saying earlier, pull them to the side and just bring, or no, you.
Yeah, no, I don't you think what I have learned in my wisdom, I'm always saying this to my kids, and they're like, oh no, here she goes. But what I have learned at the end of the day, people really appreciate honesty. So even if it means that that's going to destroy things, wouldn't you rather find that out now and then move on?
Find somebody that you have
Yeah,
great
and
sex
then
with.
find-
Yeah.
And there's no other way around it. It might hurt at the beginning, but like you just need to have that conversation if if it's not well received.
And the
you know?
sex is going to start sucking if you
Yeah.
feel like the person doesn't want to be there or doesn't want to be with you. I think eventually it will just fall off if you're not honest.
Completely,
It's-
and you're missing out having great sex with that person that you're supposed to be with if that's not your person.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Some people
Look at
are
it that
just
way.
scared to lose something good, but they don't realize that they could have it all. And I'm a true believer, and you can have somebody who does it all.
I am too.
How long have
right
you
there
been with
with
your
you.
husband?
Okay, this is so hard. I have to always think of how my
That's
son is and then
good.
add 28 years.
Yeah,
20,
see?
which is like,
28
that's
years.
huge,
That
right?
is
Yes.
huge.
I feel
And
like
how'd
you
you
still
guys
like
stay
him?
together?
Do I still like him?
Yeah.
You know, that's funny you should say that. Yes.
Tolerate him.
And where we are now communicatively versus where we started out, like I look back and I go, wow, like we have grown together so much. He is my biggest champion, and as I am of his, but he's my best friend as well as
He's in the room. I can
He's
see
in
him
the
Is he
room.
shaking his
Like,
fist in the
yeah.
background with happiness. Yeah.
But no, but
Yeah.
he really like
Yeah.
I love his company. I'll tell you this, like it sounds crazy, but when he pulls in the driveway, I still go, yes, he's home.
Oh, best
It's-
friend.
And
We really are.
Yeah.
how do you think that you guys work through every complication?
He has a great sense of humor, first of all.
Okay.
You got to be able to laugh.
You have to, and you
Best.
have to be able to laugh at yourself.
Okay.
Especially, okay, I'll tell you this. I'm a mom of three boys, and they are, my youngest is 18. And boys are so good at they just will take me right down, but it's so healthy. It's so good. You have to be able to laugh at yourself, and you have to go, wow, I really was whack when I
And you
did
don't
that,
have a
wasn't
choice
I?
being a boy mom.
Oh, not at all.
Some of my friends
But
have
he
boys
does.
and-
I think his sense of humor has got us through so much because I tend to be very dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
So he's really good at I like to say he's the rock to my kite.
Yeah. So
That's
is this?
so nice.
You guys just have a good time together and always prioritize that good time. It sounds like. And
We
that's-
really do, and we do family over everything. We've
Yeah.
taught that to our kids too. Be each other's best
Yeah.
friends. Family is so important.
And so you saying it got better over time though. So was there
Absolutely.
ever a time where you had that oh my God, this is not a good year for our relationship, and then moved past it and it made you stronger?
I
or-
think so. And the
Yeah.
funny thing is, we at a very early point in our relationship, we said we made vows and we're sticking with it, which might not work for everybody. I'm so careful to say, there's so many different situations and
Yeah.
things like that. But
We're both divorced, so yes.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. No, you- I don't
we
think you
never said we're going to pull a ripcord. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
So if that was never an option, then you had to always say how am I going to work through this? How am I going to
Yeah.
problem solve?
I think the reason that we're divorced and a lot of people are divorced is because our significant others, they didn't want to actually work through it.
Yeah.
They just wanted to be married. They didn't actually want to work.
And also
through it.
just
They didn't
accept their side of the story, and that's
Yeah.
it. I can take 50% of it, I could take 60 even or 70, but if someone's not giving you even that 30% of oh, maybe I could help a little bit in this communication.
Completely, which is why I did that disclaimer, because I've had girlfriends and I've seen, other again, I do say I am really fortunate that I thank you to my elder sister who set us up. But I
Oh,
am
your
really
elder
fortunate to have found someone who is so compatible with me.
Oh, see,
I don't
maybe
think
you
it's
got
that
really,
common.
really lucky.
Yeah.
Really, really lucky, because I think it's not that,
I agree.
Another one of our questions is, I'm a 24-year-old female. Should I lose my virginity to a Tinder hookup? 24 is really, I think this day and age is old to keep your virginity, and I think you should keep it for a marriage. If you're 24
I
and
was
still
gonna
a
say,
virgin,
if-
I think you should keep
right?
That is
it.
such a surprising answer.
Why is
from
it
you.
surprising?
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. No, I'm not
Oh,
going to say
no
anything.
offense.
No, I think
No.
that's
No,
like,
but I go ahead.
I
I'd
thought
like
you
to
were
hear
going to
your
say you
take.
should do it and
no way.
live a
I
little-
think when it comes to virginities, personally, I think that people should keep that for a special experience. I really, really, I think that if you want to wait, I think if
Yeah,
you,
because why did
even
you
if-
wait till 24
say,
if there's not something?
for
Why are
a
you going to
Tinder.
throw it away on some random
No
hookup
way.
now if you're already 24? Although I heard somewhere the other day, men aren't even losing their virginity into their 30s now, which is why subscription platforms
30s.
are so big. Is because they're not
30s
having
is pushing it,
actual
James.
in-person. No, it's not here in LA. Out
Oh,
there
okay,
in
okay.
other suburbs.
Okay, can
and
I
other
say
places.
in Toronto
Yeah.
and whatnot, as
Yeah.
the mom of young adult boys,
Yeah.
I hear from their friends and whatnot. And, is it COVID? I mean, I there's kids that work from home, so you don't have any of that after work social life
Yeah.
and whatnot.
They're
Like,
not meeting
it's
anymore.
Brutal.
People
They're not.
aren't meeting
when
women.
you say that, they
this
meet
is
online.
why the OnlyFans and things like that happen now is because people aren't having connection and they don't get to have sex. If they end
Bullseye.
up being in their 30s and they've never actually even kissed. Maybe
drinking's
kissed
not
a girl.
that much of a thing anymore. A lot of people are
Well, I
going
like that
sober.
one. That's
A
good.
lot of a lot of people are going sober.
I'm
Do you know, I was
sober now.
roasted. Okay, I was
Oh.
roasted on Housewives for that reason. Not that I do drink, but my girlfriend had told me, do not, a glass of wine on a reality show is like a bottle, so don't have anything the
really?
first night. So I thought, again, being so clever, and I said, no drinking. And that became, it's so funny because I thought, how does that play in the real world? They would say things like, I would never trust someone that didn't drink. And I was
they're
the
just
villain.
gonna twist it. They just love twisting.
Sorry, not to bring it
everything.
back to me and be narcissistic, but it's so funny that you say that because I've gone to book signings and these non-alcoholic bars and whatnot are really the rage right now. So you're right. People aren't meeting in
I like
person.
it, yeah.
There's not
I'd
as
rather
much drinking
microdose
anymore.
mushrooms.
Yes.
Have
Yes.
you tried microdosing?
No, but my girlfriend, what was she saying? Her daughter was telling her mom, I'm plant-based now. And she was like, good for you. And she said, so I only do mushrooms. Her mom was like, okay.
I love shrooms.
I think out of all of
I'm
them,
such a pro shroom person.
How
But
about ketamine therapy? I know someone from Toronto who has a ketamine cure.
I did ketamine therapy.
And how-
I started with the IV, which is very intense.
Okay.
And I switched to a nasal spray. So what I do is EMDR, which is a type of therapy, and
Yes.
then I treat myself with ketamine after with a nasal spray. And I do that like once a week. I am very pro with going to an actual clinic and doing the ketamine. I was very scared because of the street ketamine.
Of course.
And I think the ketamine IVs for sure got me back on my feet quick
Really?
mentally.
I wish I could remember the name of my girlfriend's
There's tons
place.
here.
It's here. Yeah, she started one here.
It
She
might
moved
be
from
the
Toronto
same.
and started
There's
one.
only they call them like just Ellie's ketamine clinic is like that's how all
See, I
It-
think
it hasn't come to
biohacking
Toronto
like that is good. Alcohol, just straight alcohol, it's so
depressing.
yeah, and it is a
toxic.
depressant. I think alcohol is a depressant. I mean, so is weed. I think actually,
It
like
is
there's a couple that are like
they're saying
classified as
weed is not.
Yeah.
It's not like if it is a depressant,
Yeah.
but shrooms is not.
No, a lot of
not.
people use mushrooms for depression, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Hmm.
I microdose one pill every day, and it's almost like taking a caffeine pill. I don't notice it. I'm happy, and I'm energized, until the afternoon instead of drinking coffee and all that stuff.
Interesting.
And there's a company I could go on and
It
on.
hasn't come to Canada yet,
Oh,
which is why she had to come here to start.
Yeah.
Ironic.
Speaking of mental health, how do you think that reality TV affects our mental health and scratches our itch for judging others? So kind of like what we were saying. I mean, it's nice to hate watch things sometimes, though, I got to say.
Or how
So-
much time would you recommend somebody watching reality?
I think actually reality television is both good and bad for mental health. I think if you have a good approach to it and if you understand again that it is edited and that it is meant to be voyeuristic, I think that's very healthy. I mean, I used to work for a magazine and we would get a lot of flack for having thin models, and the editor of the magazine eventually came out and said, let me tell you something, this is not a yearbook. You're not
Yeah.
looking to see pictures of your
Right.
family in it. There's meant to be a voyeuristic nature to
Yes.
it, whether they are plus size models or skinny
Yeah.
models. It's meant to have that little bit of
Yes.
voyeurism, which I think reality television at the end of the day is still entertainment.
Yeah.
So it's meant to entertain. You're not watching home movies of your parents,
Yes.
right? Or your
That's
siblings.
my friend used to say that about magazines all the time when they would go back and forth about, oh, this is so retouched and it's unrealistic. She's like, well, don't live in a parallel universe. This is not real. This is for entertainment. It's supposed to look perfect and beautiful and staged and set up. And the girls are, they look a certain way. It doesn't have to be, oh, we haven't included this person and this person. The yearbook thing is a great quote. I mean,
Exactly. It's not meant to be that. So I do think that, when you come home at the end of the day, and it does, I have said that before, it scratches that itch to judge. And someone told me once that a judgment is a confession. And I sat with that statement for such a long time. And I thought, wow, isn't that really kind of profound? Because, if people look at reality television, say, for example, one of the New Jersey housewives who had this huge over the top wedding and was getting so much judgment for that, I thought, I wonder if the people that were judging her were actually secretly confessing to themselves, well, I
wanna
want to be the
go.
princess in the wedding,
Yeah,
or
or-
I want to be a guest there.
Yeah.
Whenever I think
I wanna go.
like negatively about someone, I'll think,
wanna
oh,
go
what
so
are they
bad to a
doing that I
fancy
don't
wedding.
like about myself? Like there's
People
something
don't
in the
realize though when they're saying that they're actually are projecting.
Yeah.
And I think that people really think it's coming out of their mouth where I don't like this, but they're not sitting down and being like, well, it's actually because I want this. They're very truly confused. So would you say how watching reality show every day is healthy, or would you say
Maybe once a week.
Once a
Definitely
week,
not.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think binging.
I think
Yeah,
TikTok
people-
and Instagram are way worse. I mean, that
Yeah.
little short clip shit that's rotting our brains because it's so like tiny little clips and don't have an attention span that I can't even watch. Sometimes I'm learning to watch reality shows again now just because they're so long, because I'm used to watching 1 minute, 30 seconds. Like it's. I think that's
I
rotting
agree.
our
I
So
brains.
totally
bad.
agree.
Yeah.
And
So
I
bad.
think, let me tell you something. One of the best things, not to be like a shameless plug, one of the best things for anxiety is reading. Reading like takes you into, especially fiction. You're dealing with someone else's problems. You're in a different
Meditating in someone
universe.
else's thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It really is. I fell out of reading when I was raising little kids and so busy and whatnot, and I really, really see the value in it now.
I'm gonna start reading. Now that I think about it, I'm always journaling, but I'm never like reading. It's hard for me to find a book that I really like want to read, or I'll read like a couple chapters and then I'll just kind of let it fall off. But even that, I should probably just sit at night and
They say a good way to do it is to take your birth date, like in the month. So, for example, I'm the 27th. So just set a goal. I'm going to read 27 pages a day.
okay.
And just like brushing your teeth
Well,
or
mine's the
exercise, get into the habit.
first.
Oh, so you
I-
only need one
One
page a
page.
day. You got it made.
I go, oh, that's so
This
unfair.
sucks. I
Jesus. No, I want your one.
Oh.
I would have to read 29 pages.
Oh, there you
I
go.
buy so many books on Audible and hard copies, but that's all I do.
You have
I
the
just
best of
collect them.
intentions.
I have so many. I mean, I literally have, and I have 1 million credits of books and all the, like I go through the store and I love buying them. That's great. I love that part of it. But then when it comes to reading it, I'll get to the first page and then I'll get up and get something and then I'll do something else and then I'll sit down and try it.
You gotta love to read.
And well, I think it's also what you were saying about social media, right? It really does mess. I
Yeah.
mean, even
It's a
myself,
muscle.
it's yes.
You gotta
and so you
work it,
have to
yeah.
strengthen it because you're used to watching an Instagram, and I scroll. My kids will
Yeah.
send me stuff, and they're like, "Wait, did you watch the whole thing?" I'm like, "No."
No. Sometimes
the
I don't
next.
even mean to, and I'll pick up the phone just naturally, and I'm going to call someone, but then I've opened Instagram, I'm scrolling, but I'm meaning to call someone. It's really.
Have you guys ever, I know this is random, but instead of like trying to just not be on social media, make candles?
make
Make
candles?
candles?
Yes.
That was so random.
I know it is so
I thought you were
random,
gonna say meditate
but it's
or
actually
something.
I know. I was just gonna say though, it's actually like therapeutic, and I almost like meditate while I'm doing it because you're taking different scents and you're trying to figure out what scent you want, and it takes a while because you start mixing.
Where do you
different
even
ones.
get this stuff? Like, is it at your house? Or?
Michael's had a candle making like actual
Oh, a
thing,
kit?
a kit,
Oh.
and then I started buying my own stuff, and like you can put colors and you can even get like molds if you want to put different
Oh, that's
molds in there.
interesting.
Yeah, try it. Try it.
I
Try making
might.
candles.
I might go home.
Yeah, you do it.
Like,
And you can
my
buy
husband are gonna be
from
like, "What's
Michael's.
she
You can
doing?"
buy little candle things with the wick thing, and you just pour it in with your. Yeah, I
That's
mean, it's
interesting
so
because
fun.
I think that smell and that sense is one of the most underrated scents that we don't exercise
Yeah,
on,
mhm.
right?
Yeah, it's true.
Neat.
It's true.
Wow, you guys are like a wealth of
Yeah.
We try to be. I mean, we never shut up. That's the thing.
Yeah, we keep going.
But actually, you're great at talking too, so this has been perfect.
And you're nice.
Thank you
And
so
you're-
much.
And you're
spread the word. She's nice. She's not.
Yes.
a
Oh,
Are
yes,
nice.
no, no.
exactly.
I'm
Don't
taking
be
a
mean
page
to her.
out of your book. I don't care.
yeah.
Speaking of books, let's hold up your book
Yes,
to
can
your
we- do we
camera
get to
there.
keep it or no?
When does
Yes,
this
of course
come
we
out?
do.
Is it out now?
It's out now.
Amazing.
It's a really easy read, short chapters, fun and funny. 6
So
women
cute.
sign up for a reality show in Manhattan. There's an influencer. There's a wife of a professional athlete. There is a Meghan Markle type woman who was married to a aristocrat who has repatriated herself. It's very interesting, but it's women interacting with women, and it's an excellent book. If
Do
I
you
may
see
say
this
so.
being a
I-
show? Like a scripted
100%.
show?
I
Yeah.
see limited series actually.
I love it. Oh, you got some good praise
I love the
here
name too.
from Kathy Hilton, Jill Zarin, John Stevens. Oh, John Stevens, that sounds familiar. And Vicky Gumbels. Oh my God. Oh, Leanne, you've got it on here too.
Leanne
Look,
was
if it's
amazing
good
to
enough
me.
for Leanne, it's good enough for you. Okay. Cara Alloway, Most Hated. Go and get it now. Available everywhere.
Available everywhere. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, everywhere.
I
How
love it.
fun. That is so fun.
Thank you
to have
guys
a
so
book.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have the best week, guys. See you next
Bye.
week.